Walter Elias Disney, born December 5, 1901, in Chicago, Illinois, was a pioneering American animator, film producer, and entrepreneur who revolutionized entertainment. His life story is one of creativity, resilience, and innovation, creating a legacy that endures through the Walt Disney Company and its global cultural impact. Early life, 1901–1918. Walt Disney was the fourth of 5 children born to Elias Disney, a strict, religious man who worked as a carpenter and farmer, and Flora Call Disney, a schoolteacher. The family moved frequently, settling in Marceline, Missouri, when Walt was 4. Marceline's small-town charm later inspired Main Street, USA in Disneyland. Walt's early love for drawing was sparked here, sketching farm animals and selling drawings to neighbors. Financial struggles forced the family to move to Kansas City in 1911, where Walt and his brother Roy delivered newspapers for their father's business, working grueling hours. At 16, Walt joined the Red Cross Ambulance Corps during World War I, lying about his age to enlist. Stationed in France after the armistice, he drove ambulances and decorated them with cartoons, honing his artistic skills. He returned to Kansas City in 1919, determined to pursue art. Early career and animation beginnings, 1919–1927. In Kansas City, Walt worked as a commercial artist at Pesman Rubin Art Studio, where he met Ub Iwerks, a talented animator who became a lifelong collaborator. In 1920, they started Iwerks Disney Commercial Artists, which failed, but Walt then joined the Kansas City Film Ad Company, learning early animation techniques. Inspired, he began experimenting with animation in his garage, creating short films called Newman Laugh-O-Grams. In 1922, he founded Laugh-O-Gram Studio, producing animated fairy tales, but the company went bankrupt in 1923 due to financial mismanagement. At 21, Walt moved to Hollywood with $40, aiming to break into the film industry. He joined forces with Roy, who managed finances, and they set up the Disney Brothers Studio in 1923. Walt persuaded Ub Iwerks to join, and they created the Alice comedies, blending live action and animation, which gained modest success. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and Mickey Mouse, 1927–1928. In 1927, Disney created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit for Universal Pictures. The character was a hit, but Walt lost control of Oswald in 1928 when distributor Charles Mintz took the rights and most of Disney's animators. This betrayal was a turning point. Determined to own his creations, Walt, with Iwerks, developed a new character, Mickey Mouse. Inspired by a pet mouse from Kansas City, Mickey debuted in Steamboat Willie, 1928, the first cartoon with synchronized sound, which became a sensation. Mickey's success established Disney as a major player in animation. Rise to fame, Silly Symphonies and Snow White, 1929–1937. Disney expanded with Silly Symphonies, a series of musically driven cartoons. The Skeleton Dance, 1929, and Flowers and Trees, 1932, the latter winning an Oscar for its pioneering use of Technicolor, showcased his innovative spirit. Disney's perfectionism drove his team to refine animation techniques, creating lifelike movement and emotional depth. In 1934, Walt announced his boldest project, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first feature-length animated film. Critics dubbed it Disney's folly, doubting its viability, but Walt invested heavily, mortgaging his home and pushing his studio to the brink. Released in 1937, Snow White was a global triumph, grossing $8 million, about $150 million today, and proving animated films could rival live-action blockbusters. Golden Age of Animation and World War II, 1937–1945. The success of Snow White fueled Disney's ambition. The studio released a string of classics, Pinocchio, 1940, Fantasia, 1940, Dumbo, 1941, and Bambi, 1942. These films pushed artistic boundaries, with Fantasia experimenting with stereophonic sound and abstract visuals. However, high production costs and a 1941 animators' strike, caused by Walt's paternalistic management style, strained the studio. World War II further disrupted operations, as Disney produced propaganda and training films for the U.S. government, including Victory Through Air Power, 1943. Post-war struggles and diversification, 1945–1955. After the war, Disney faced financial challenges. Animated features like Cinderella, 1950, and Peter Pan, 1953, revived the studio, but Walt sought new ventures. He entered live-action filmmaking with Treasure Island, 1950, and television with the Mickey Mouse Club, 1955. His biggest dream was Disneyland, a revolutionary theme park. Despite skepticism, Walt secured funding through TV deals, notably with ABC, and Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California, on July 17, 1955, to massive success. Later years and legacy, 1955–1966. In the 1960s, Disney continued producing hits like Sleeping Beauty, 1959, 101 Dalmatians, 1961, and Mary Poppins, 1964, the latter blending live action and animation to critical acclaim. Walt pioneered audio animatronics, enhancing Disneyland attractions, and began planning Walt Disney World in Florida and the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, Epcot. However, his health declined from decades of heavy smoking. Diagnosed with lung cancer in November 1966, Walt died on December 15, 1966, at age 65, leaving Epcot unfinished. Personal life and character. Walt married Lillian Bounds, an inker at his studio, in 1925. They had 2 daughters, Diane and Sharon. Walt was a devoted but often absent father, consumed by work. He was a complex figure, a visionary who inspired loyalty, yet demanding and sometimes harsh with employees. His folksy charm masked a relentless drive for perfection, and he shunned the spotlight, letting his creations speak for him. Impact and legacy. Disney's innovations, synchronized sound, Technicolor, feature-length animation, and theme parks, transformed entertainment. The Walt Disney Company grew into a global empire, encompassing films, TV, parks, and merchandise. Walt won 22 Academy Awards, including a special Oscar for Snow White with 1 full-size statuette and 7 miniature ones. His vision of storytelling and imagination continues to shape popular culture, with Disney World, Epcot, and countless films carrying his legacy forward. Walt Disney's life was marked by bold risks, creative breakthroughs, and an unwavering belief in the power of dreams. From a Missouri farm boy to a cultural icon, he built an empire that still captivates the world.